Hello and welcome to another episode of College Collective, brought to you by Jibber Jabber. My name is Ibrahim.
And my name is Hassan, and this is a show where we talk about university life, problems, and just give our general advice.
Building up on the whole online semester and the fact that we're still going through a global pandemic, one of the most ambiguous things for students is this upcoming fall semester. You know, whether it's going to be on campus, whether it's going to be online, whether they're going to be able to stay abroad, are they going to have to go back home? You know, a lot of concerns there, financial concerns. You know, a lot of concerns and ambiguity in that department. What are your thoughts, Hassan?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a strange time, and no one saw coronavirus coming, obviously, and no one was ready for what was about to happen. And we already discussed about how we were affected and how we dealt with it. But we decided it would be better now to get someone, one of our friends, from a very high-ranked university. He's in the Ivy Leagues. My friend Abel, who studies at Berkeley.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
So yeah, we decided it would be nice to find out how someone outside of the UAE is affected and how people who are studying abroad. So for people who don't know, Abel is my friend. He studied in the UAE his to high school, and then he moved abroad to continue his further studies. And yeah, how are you feeling, Abel? How?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just in the middle of like finals for my summer classes, but I'm feeling great about it. So thankfully, I'm still doing fine after everything that's been going on in the US for now, I guess.
Right, perfect. I'm happy. So how's things been? How's the campus? How's studies? Have they been affected by Corona, or is it almost the same?
Oh no, they've definitely been affected by the coronavirus. I mean, it was basically so things started getting pretty hectic mid-March 2020. So
Right.
and during that time was when we had our midterms. So it was an unfortunate time. So what we had to do was basically mid-March, they just decided to push back the midterms and make them online. And basically for that, I would have to head back either to UAE or I mean to Moscow, where currently my parents reside, or stay
Right.
with my brother in Los Angeles. And obviously, I decided to stay in Los Angeles for now because uh,
Right.
just keeping that F1 student visa status for as long as possible would be a better option for now. So, yeah, I stayed over at my brother's place and did my spring semester there, which was pretty way definitely way harder than a usual semester just because
Uh-huh.
uh, everything became online and you kind
Right.
of started to become lazy. You didn't want to work on
You
you
just
didn't want to
continue
study
online.
for
Straight
classes.
up.
Yeah, it's just terrible.
Just
So,
asking, were you
uh,
guys allowed to stay on in dorms, like for people that were abroad, or?
no, they basically initially they did say that you're fine, you could stay here, but then when things got very bad, where we had like what was it, 20,000, 30,000 cases of
Damn.
uh we they definitely they decided to basically close down every single dorm except for I guess privately owned housing, but I was living in a dorm, so I had to move out from there.
Oh wow. Yeah, I had
Yep.
a lot of friends back there that struggled with the same thing. They got kicked out of dorms. They had to either find friends to stay with or go back to their country. And the biggest issue was when, like, I had friends in Saudi
Hmm.
Arabia and they closed their borders,
Hmm.
so people couldn't go back
Oh
home.
yeah.
So they had to like,
Yeah,
I don't know, had to find friends to stay with. That was a
right.
struggle there.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
guess I
can't
got lucky
imagine
with
being in
that.
that situation.
I got
Alhamdulillah.
lucky with that situation, having my brother in the United States, but yeah, that's an unfortunate situation for everyone else, definitely.
True. And what about the whole law that was going to be passed about all the universities, the students that are going to have it online, the
Right,
students will
yeah.
be sent back. Remember
Oh,
mentioning it?
that was a messy situation,
With
basically.
ice, right?
So if I'm not wrong, if it was around July 7, July 9, somewhere around there, I
Right,
believe.
right. Uh-huh.
I was just relaxing, having a normal casual day, just doing normal
Uh-huh.
things. And then suddenly my friend started messaging me. Then I open up Twitter and I see there's this new rule, and I wasn't taking it seriously because I was like, there's no point. I'm not going to get affected by this. But when everyone started messaging me and I read the rules, I remember I fell into this state of confusion, shock, anxiety, and a bit of crying. I gotta admit, I did cry
Oh,
from stress.
Wow.
damn.
Uh, yeah, because mainly, what my situation is that the thing is, I don't only have a complicated situation with the U.S. regarding this ICE deportation thing that happened. I also have like a complicated situation with my own like with my own country, which is Armenia.
Right.
They basically have this rule where when you turn 18, you gotta start serving for the army. And the only way that I could get out of there was if I went to a good university before turning 18 and then using that as an excuse to stay. So basically,
Oh,
that's why I came to Berkeley at 16, and right now I'm 18. And basically, if they forced me to leave the country and I went back
mm,
to Armenia, it would
right.
basically be like it would eventually it will eventually make me end up in a situation where I either have to leave Berkeley and serve the army, or right after I graduate, I will have to go to the army. Either way, I was going to go to the army, which is not definitely not an option for me, mainly because I'm pursuing an educational field rather than, you know, I
Yeah.
don't
Right.
really want to spare some time for going to the army right now. And
Right. No,
that
that makes
just
sense.
That's
confused me a lot,
that's straight up.
stressed me out. So I didn't know what to do there.
I completely.
Basically then I had to like think of possible outcomes.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I started enrolling in like very small classes like a PE class just to stay in the US because they said that if you're taking at least a single in-person class, you can stay in
Right.
the US. So I at least took like a PE class just in case. uh, but the thing was, if I took that, I would have to leave my brother in LA and somehow find housing in Berkeley again, which is kind of tough because most of the things were
Another
closed down
problem.
there.
Right.
Yeah, another problem, but it was definitely the better option out of like being deported.
Yeah.
Right.
But then,
Oh,
right, but what was it? Then yeah, then my personal hope was the fact that there were lots of universities that were filing lawsuits against
right.
the ISIS decision, and
Yeah.
my huge hope was the fact that they would just that lawsuit would be won by the universities. I think like
Oh,
150 something universities applied,
right.
including Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Berkeley,
It
CSU,
was wild.
UCLA, a lot, like a lot basically. And
Yeah.
thankfully, I remembered that moment when, I remember I was looking at the live feed because I knew when the lawsuit was going to begin, like the court meeting.
Right.
So I
Right.
was just keeping up onto Twitter, and it was a great revelation when I found out that everything was going back to normal and that I could legally stay in the U.S. and not have
So,
to worry about any issues.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
No,
a
I can't
blessing.
imagine the pressure and all the
Yeah, it was
stress that
super stressful, definitely.
uh, just doesn't make sense with the thinking. And I mean, you are paying for the same fees. In fact, more than most of the students that actually live there.
Yep,
And
definitely.
it's it's harder to move from your country to go study somewhere else for to have a better future. So it just doesn't feel right or nice for a country to stress their students like that. It's like being treated second-hand or third-class people when you're not, you know?
Well, I'll tell you, when this rule came out, I started looking a lot at Twitter responses to the this news that came out, and
Right.
I really felt like a cash toy where they just
Wow.
sucked out the money out of me and threw me away because people were like, "Oh, well, they came here for education. They should leave now. They shouldn't stay if they're not getting personal in-person education." But I was like, how can you get us out of this situation and risk our health and
Right.
everything? It
Yeah.
was just it made me feel like I was just a cash grab.
Not
Basically, they just
Yeah,
welcome.
wanted
honestly,
Yeah.
the
to
first thing
take
we
my
learned
cash and throw me away.
in the first thing we learned when we had our counseling class before university, back in high school, the first thing our counselor told us was that at the end of the day, universities are a business, especially in America. It's a money-making
Right. Yeah.
business.
Definitely.
They're not going to treat you like you're just a number, basically, and you're attending their
Yeah.
university, and they're going to pump out the money out of you, basically. And
Without a doubt.
we saw that with this whole situation here. Um,
Hmm.
Wow.
so yeah,
Exactly. And I mean, yeah, like Ibrahim said, if it is a business, then there is the whole part of negotiating. And well, as students, you can't exact the way we have our version of negotiating would be scholarship and financial aid and any way that we get our fees reduced.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it obviously is very important to have scholarships and financial aid.
Yeah.
Abel, I remember you were mentioning that, well, foreign students do not get scholarships in America, while, well, obviously their own students will get scholarships. That's okay, there's no
Right.
problem with that.
Right.
But the fact that international students cannot get any scholarship is a little bit hurtful and makes it a bit more difficult as well. Not a bit,
Certainly.
it makes it quite more difficult to finance it, right?
Definitely. I mean, uh, I was thinking about this numerically. For example, to
Right,
get into a top university in the U.S. and get you would have to pay around like $50,000 minimum a year. And usually universities accept 2,000 internationals. That's a whole lot of money, around $100 million that they take away from
yeah,
students. I mean, obviously there are some fees
yeah,
that are broken out and like branched off to some other companies, but Berkeley or other universities, they get most of this money. So you
right,
kind of expected them to be able to give back via some other scholarships, for example, some international student
mm,
scholarships that they could apply, but they really don't. It's very minuscule, like the scholarships that they introduce. For example, the biggest Berkeley International Office scholarship that I remember I ever applied for was, I think, around $1,500, which is very minuscule to what people in the United States get.
right,
And
right,
yeah, that was very confusing. The only way that you could get some money reduced out of your tuition was either applying to foreign, like your foreign nation scholarships or like some global scholarships, or
right,
or be a professor's assistant, or basically get an on-campus job, which could be
right,
various things. For example, you could be a security guard, or for example, you could be a professor's assistant or a researcher or something. That would be the only way. But again, that just induces a lot of stress to kind of. I mean, I went through a lot of stress and at some points definitely some strong depression where it was just tough to think about how my parents would have to pay for some things that I really wanted myself to pay it for.
Yeah.
So it gets kind of stressful when I think about it. Thankfully for now, I got lucky with getting in a position to kind of get my tuition off for next semester. But now I have to start thinking, I have to think ahead for 5 months so that for my next semester, I know how to pay it off as much as possible,
Yeah.
which again induces a lot of stress, a lot of
Yeah, bouncing this off
anxiety.
of both of you. I know a
Hmm.
lot of my friends, a lot of people that are international students in America. They have to find a way to balance finances, and a lot of kids end up having to work, whether it's on campus, whether it's off campus. A lot of
right,
kids work at restaurants or work as a cashier, or have to take up secondary jobs, and then getting like working a job and studying at the same time. That can be very complicated. So
yeah.
what's your experience with that, Abel, if you have any in that department?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Like
I didn't quite catch
have
that.
you
You
had
like
to
So like,
like
bounced
have
have you
in.
had
you
to like work or anything to like support yourself financially or
at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah, I've done two positions at Berkeley. One was uh I think yeah, it was a year ago exactly. I was a grader for a class, so basically I used to grade homeworks and midterms
okay.
for a class, which wasn't that stressful actually. I kind of enjoyed it because I took that class prior to grading it and I kind of enjoyed it. But then there was this
Uh-huh.
other one where I was a research assistant for this professor in astrophysics. Uh, that one, I mean, those positions didn't pay off that much, so I still had a lot of stress to kind of find ways to pay my tuition fees as much as
Hmm.
possible to
Right,
kind of reduce the stress from my parents. But I mean, the first 2 years, everyone usually struggles at Berkeley with either getting money, well, with getting money because, for example, internships, companies won't accept people who are at the initial stage of their career where they're like freshmen or sophomores. So they usually don't get a lot of money. That's why the first 2 years are stressful. Third year is where things get a bit less stressful, which is thankfully what I'm going through right now. I'm moving to third year, and I've already gotten a professor assistant position. And usually, from what I've heard, is internships getting like positions for example, a software engineer, which is what I'll be applying for,
Hmm.
gets
right,
a bit easier. So I'm definitely hoping to kind of uh, start funding myself for the third year and fourth year independently without having anything to do with my parents, just because I don't want them to think about that much. I would just like to do it myself.
Right.
But yeah, that's my current experience with working and studying at the same time. Just a lot of stress, anxiety, and ways to find more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, before we continue, can I ask you a question, Abel?
Yeah, sure. What was it?
You don't need to reply. You don't need to like give me an answer if you don't feel like it. But
Hmm.
are you like what kind of grader are you? Are you one of those people that fails everyone, or are you the one that's like,
Real
yeah, I'll
talk
give you,
now. Hassan
I'll
with
give
No,
the
you,
real
I'll give
no,
you
questions
half
here.
a mark. Yeah, for real, for real. I want to know. I
Straight
want to
up.
know. Like
no, no. Definitely. I kind of like
this
it.
changes my whole view on you. Let me be honest.
No, I'm definitely not strict. For example, next semester when I teach it, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
try to look ways to kind of downgrade people or make them stressed. I want them to learn and also get a good
yeah,
grade because that's the ultimate thing. I don't want them to stress out. I want them to learn and also get a good grade. That's why I'll help out as much as possible. And when I was a grader last year,
yeah.
I was very, very nice compared to other graders, that's for sure. Although for the
Okay,
first week, I remember I caught two people cheating,
right.
so I kind of had to give it away just because they basically have
No, no,
the ability
that's
to fire you if you don't do your job correctly. But grading
no, no.
wise, I was pretty lenient. I just think that if people get the entire point of a certain subtopic correctly, they should
You
definitely
get
get
the mark.
full points. They shouldn't get a
So,
zero if they put a wrong number in by mistake or something.
Hmm.
so if I'm reading it right, you're half. You're like halfway there. You're like not the sweetest, but you're not the worst.
Yeah, yeah. I would say I'm just
Oh, he
Yeah,
normal,
seems that seems
just a
like a
normal
good way
grader.
to grade people, Hassan. Can't be giving out free
yeah, okay.
A's. Gotta
I
gotta
mean,
respect academic integrity as well. So
you
Yeah.
I think he's got
I
it
see
down.
only rainbows and sunshine. What can I do?
Fair.
I think Ibrahim was going to mention about different funds and collections that can help students because these are the things students should look into, especially international students, since it's kind of difficult to get scholarships and it's also not the most efficient to work and study. It can have an effect on your studies. So,
No, I was just yeah, I
what
was
are you
just
gonna?
just building up on that. I think we're all going through a global pandemic right now. So, a
Right.
lot of people are like struggling with finances, whether it's tuition, whether it's rent, whether it's just basically like basic living needs as well. So, I think people, if any of our listeners, if any of you have extra money, whether it's $10, whether it's $5, just look out
Right.
to different avenues where you can donate. There's a lot of different crises. I don't know if that's the plural. But
Crisis.
there's a lot of crises. I'm just gonna go with it in the world, and you can look to different avenues to
It's our
donate.
English.
One of the avenues, I know, just thinking about it, since we're talking about international students, is a lot of students struggle financially just affording tuition. We talked about how expensive it is for a student. Like
Right.
$50,000 is not a joke. It is a
Yeah.
business, and people do need their help. So one of the avenues I was looking at, if you just go to Google and just type in Student Collective Fund, jibber jabber, it's just and go to
Right.
the first link. It's this company that's trying to do that, trying to make a fund to help students. You guys can just go onto that, donate about like $2, and try to help out students. You can always look at different avenues. This is just one of them that I found. You can look at
Yeah.
your own countries. Go to Google. There's a lot of good sources you guys can find. But again, we're in a pandemic. If you have money saved up, it's always good. Nobody gets more poor by donating. You only get richer. You get more blessings. So,
That's
just
true.
for that, just try your
Words
best to help
right
out.
there.
Always good to give out a helping hand, as they say.
Yeah. And
All
and
right.
my man Abel 100% loves helping if you can't tell yet.
Straight up, seems
And
like the sweetest
I
guy
would
I've met.
endorse it too.
Oh, and by the way,
Damn.
I just had to check on Google because I wanted to find out too. The plural form of crisis is
It's
crisis.
crisis. No,
Crisis?
isn't it
I
crisis?
was thinking that.
Yeah,
It was in the back of my head, but
yeah.
uh,
I don't know it that well too. I'm not that great with English.
Yeah, none of us speak English our first language. So please excuse us and our broken English. We you know.
damn, you learn something new every day. So thank you for
Yep.
that.
Damn. So
But yeah,
we
honestly, you
got
guys, if
tuition
you have any funds, just try your best. That's all we're gonna say in that department.
helping out is the best. So I think we got finance out of the way. Uh, I was thinking of moving to. Would you still want to go to the US to study, or would you choose to study somewhere else, Abel, if you still
Uh,
had the option?
I mean, for me, it's really mixed feelings. But when that ice thing was happening, my friends were basically set. They were saying that, there's no point for us to pay that much, go through so much stress just to get a good education degree when you can get a similar degree from Canada for
Yeah,
way less stress and a tad bit less of funds. I mean, less of tuition fees.
Right,
But I don't know. For me, it was just that I've already moved here. I don't think I should move anymore. I should just stick to my original plan. Because mainly, and also, I mean, if I decided to move to Canada,
right,
would my country be willing to uh, still allow me to get my education rather than move to the army? My friends don't
right.
have to go through that issue. That's why they have this freedom of choice. For me, it's just that I need to stay in the U.S. That's for sure. There's no other way. I need to just get my education degree and hopefully pursue my master's degree for the future
inshallah.
too.
Yeah.
So we wish you the best on that.
Thank you.
And what do you think? Do you think it's fair for students to pay the full tuition fee if we're having online classes? Because my parents threw a fit when we found out we have engineering and online. He was like, "How do you do the labs online? Like, we shouldn't be
Right.
paying full tuition fee."
Well,
So I could imagine.
right. I had I just had to look through the tuition fee, I mean, the entire fee breakdown of Berkeley for next semester. They mainly cut out the funds for housing. But there was this weird thing that we everyone noticed from Berkeley that there was an extra $3,000 in fees for on-campus services that we were paying for,
What?
which of course we're not using at all. So it's very confusing about that. That's why I mean some people have emailed them. I'm not sure what their response was from Berkeley's perspective. But I mean, I personally I don't think that we should be paying that much right now because I understand that a substantial amount of the fee usually goes for paying this international student fee, which is the money required to basically allow you to stay in the United States. That's not the issue from like the university, it's more of the issue of how the United States kind of formed this student fee that you need to pay as an international. So I don't blame them on that, which is a substantial amount of the fees. But there are these small fees that you just notice that I don't know why we're paying for, like housing, not housing, sorry. As I mentioned,
Services.
Three
the
thousand.
service fee,
Yeah.
yeah, all of
Yeah.
these small fees that I don't know why we're
Add
even
up.
paying for.
Right, right. Uh, I mean, every dollar matters, and it can make a difference, and you
Without a
could
doubt.
donate the extra money as well.
Again,
So
I just
yeah,
want to stress this again. Universities
go
in
for it.
America are a business, and you're just a number.
Yeah.
That's
They
the
are
most memorable
everywhere.
thing I've ever heard from my
They
counselor, because
are
that's the first thing he
everywhere.
told
I
me.
mean,
So
they
and
are.
also
Just keeping that in
also I
mind.
noticed this as well. Universities, what the in the U.S. they express heavily how,
Mhm.
academic plagiarism. You should never do it, or else you're going to be in
Right,
serious
Yeah.
consequences. But
right,
I've known some strong people in the university, and they usually say you're paying a lot to get education. They're not going to kick you out. So even to those extreme cases, they even don't they even care about the money. They just want a lot of money from you, mainly universities. Obviously,
right.
there's this
I
university spirit which lifts your mood up and all. But then again, the ultimate goal from a university is to provide you with education for you to feel content about it, but also pay
right.
massive amounts of fees that I personally think are way too much, way too much. I can't even express how much overpriced it is in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I
Completely
think it's
agree.
a shown statistic about how university costs and college fees have been increasing over the years and years and
Yeah,
years,
it'll just
and how
keep
it
on
will.
increasing.
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe I mean we are heading that way towards the future where in the future I don't think the degree will matter as much. But for now, a good degree
Certainly.
make a difference, and it's why we all deal with the headache and go through the pain and the studies and
Yeah,
uh,
certainly.
yeah. So it I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
It is what it
It
is, bro.
it
It,
is
You
what it
gotta you gotta
is.
do it. You just gotta do it. You can't really if you don't go to university, you can't really do much. Like obviously you
no
have a few
profession like
standouts
that.
that can make their own business and like stand out, but the average Joe, the
Exactly.
average person probably won't go too far in life. In
Yeah.
terms of finances and career wise. Of course there's many other avenues, but in your career you probably won't go too far if you don't go to a good university or
Which
any
is absolute
university.
insanity.
It sucks.
Which
It's
is
such a it's so
absolute
stupid. It's
insanity from my perspective.
yeah, it's just the way the system has been built now, and
Yep.
I hope it
You
does
can't do
change.
anything about it.
I really hope it changes in the future somehow, but it's really unfair.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, I think I think we've wrapped up most of the things. So this episode was mostly just about finances. And is there anything you guys want to add on about finances and university and fees and scholarships? Want to wrap it up?
Um, it's overpriced. Thank you.
It's a
It's
Thank you for
crazy
coming to my TED
overpriced.
talk. Yeah, I
Drops the
mean,
mic right there.
I just I hope we didn't convince our listeners to drop out of university. That's all we're saying.
Don't.
Definitely don't.
Don't.
Definitely don't.
Like we do not say that drop out of the university, save your money. It is an
Grind don't
investment.
stop. Just keep that in your head.
Yeah.
Grind
It's an
don't stop.
investment in the end, and you'll make it back. You'll make it back when you become a professional at a certain job. You'll make the money back, and you'll have the knowledge, and that's what you're paying for: the knowledge and the degree and the license. These are the things you're paying
And the
for.
Yeah,
opportunity you get
for
afterwards. That's a big part of it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely whatever action you do in university, just think of how that could help you out in the future. That's always the thing.
exactly. My man Abel is also starting. Well, he has a startup, and
Yep.
keep updated with us, and we will
For
100%
sure.
shout it out.
For
And
sure.
Definitely.
tell you more about it as it progresses and as he goes more international. But
Yeah, definitely.
except for that, I think we covered most of the things for
Yeah,
this call.
thank
I
you so
think
much,
we had
Abel. Yo, honestly, a
Thank you.
lot of good
No worries.
insight on
No
the
worries at
whole
all.
America situation and everything. Got some really good
uh,
points. Really appreciate you
you
taking
No
out
know,
your
worries at
time.
all.
I know the time zone's a little crazy, but it is what it
Yeah,
is.
it's fine. It's good because I'm a night owl, so I'm
Perfect.
fine with late times for interviews. I should be fine.
Awesome.
yes. So interviews, damn, my man's a celebrity
Or
now.
no,
What?
no, 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 no. I've never
Picks and
had an
chooses.
I
interview.
know,
Okay,
I'm
that
messing.
sounded cocky
Don't worry,
as
it's
hell. I did
okay.
not mean it like that.
Don't worry. Hey,
Man's
listen.
Once
man's
We'll
again,
balling in
English is
Berkeley.
we'll
not my
edit
first
it.
language.
Yeah, potato is my first language. Guys, come on, please.
Potato.
It's okay. We'll edit it out for you, but
No,
don't
we
worry.
won't. We're keeping that in
Oh,
postcut.
right.
I'm
So
not
yeah,
editing that out, bro. We're good. We're good. But yeah,
uh,
just to highlight it again once more. I know I talked a lot about this. I'm rambling off again, but if you do have spare money, please try your best to donate. It goes not just for you guys; it goes out for all of us, me included. A lot of people do have money saved up. A lot of people are struggling, so especially right now, this is a time to just give whatever you can. It's
help
yeah,
out, yeah. And the financial aids, the student collective fund that we mentioned by Jibber Jabber, and any other thing that you guys can think of. I hope you got some insight from a friend from America. If you guys are from America, tell me if it's different in Canada or Australia or New Zealand or Africa or anywhere else. And if you think I'm wrong, then be like, "Yo, Hassan, you're wrong." I'll be like, "I fine, thank you."
okay.
Uh, but I hope there was something that everyone learned from the call, and you learned the importance of finance and how you should fight for every dollar that you pay at university, because in the end, it is almost like a business, and you getting scholarship and financial aid is your way of negotiating that, look, I'm worth it enough for you to pay, for me to pay only this much for my further education. With that, I think we'd wrap up the call. Thank you, Abel, for taking time out of your busy schedule and close
Oh,
your final exams
no
to
worries at all. There's
join the
nothing
call.
busy. Okay, stop making me look like this crazy celebrity. I just have a single exam in
Wait,
5 days.
I'm not the one who said it. You said it. You said it first. I'm not the one who said
It
it.
was by mistake.
So yeah, I think that's it. It's College Collective,
As always,
University Financing.
like our videos, comment whatever you
But
guys are
wait, that's
feeling.
only if we upload on YouTube. I don't think we're uploading this on YouTube. Hey, if we upload on YouTube, like, dislike, do whichever one you want, actually. No, actually,
Ooh, yeah.
like the video.
Just
But if you don't,
like
then
the big thing to take away, like this video, share this video with all your
that's
friends
the
if you
most
liked
important
it,
thing.
you know.
Yeah, I think that's it. College Collective, uh, University Finances. Take care, guys. See ya.
See you next week.